Welcome to the Franchisee Show, where we hear about the stories and secrets of the franchise pros. On today's show, we are speaking with the self-proclaimed startup-preneur, Andy Springer. Andy was born in Moses Lake, Washington, and moved to Utah at the age of 1. He is involved with many franchises and also the longest tenured agent for American Family Insurance in Utah. He is also involved with Allies and explains to us how Allies is his fun business. Not only is Andy involved with many businesses, he is also a football coach for his son's high school. He is a busy man, but still manages to keep his energy and passion at full speed. Andy is the type of individual that wants to help and loves encouraging and hyping others up for their own success. So, without further ado, the energetic and successful Andy Springer. Hello, and welcome to the Franchisee Show, where we hear the stories and secrets of the franchise pros. We're here today with our own franchise pro, Don Pierce.
Hey, Jessica, good to be here.
As always, it's great to be here with you as well. And today we have a special guest with us. Today we're here with Andy Springer. Now, Andy is involved with a lot of franchises actually, and is a self-proclaimed franchise or startup-preneur, I should say. So we're going to hear some good stuff. We're actually going to talk today about how to identify new startup ideas. I think a lot of our listeners out there, we're always looking for something new and exciting. And I think we've got some secrets that we can learn from you. So Andy, welcome to our show.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Okay, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Don, take it away.
Great, Andy. I'd like to go back to your core business and start there as we start to build things here. You build a really successful insurance business in a very, not real short, but I'm sure it seemed long to you at times. What are some of the key things that you learned in building that business? What made it successful?
Honestly, I own an insurance agency, and I tell people this all the time, that selling insurance is a piece of cake. Seriously, I don't even have to convince you that my product is good. You literally have to buy what I have. And so I have always considered myself in the service industry. And so being that I've always had the service mentality, I feel that that's been a huge part of my success. And the other thing, because I look at it, been doing this for 15 years, and I literally am one of the longest tenured agents for American Family Insurance in Utah.
Wow.
A lot have come and gone, and I look at the pattern of why, because there's been some really good people that have come and gone, and what makes me different versus them, because they are also phenomenal people. And it really is, I started in this industry with a business owner mentality. And what I've noticed, even though I've jumped into a franchise type agreement, I've always had it in my head that I'm running a business, I'm running my business, and it's wonderful to have this Fortune 300 partner on my side to help me along the way as they run their business. And the agents that have come and gone, they're really good technicians, to quote the E-Myth, to the point where they're good at selling insurance, but they were expecting either the franchise to do too much for them, and then when the business side of things got hard, they said, I'm out, or what. But that's typically it, is they weren't business owners, or they didn't like being business owners. And I would say that's been the key to my longevity. Is I love being a business owner. I love that the good and the bad about it. My partner loves being a business owner, and together we just take care of each other and help each other out as partners.
That's awesome. I love that you mentioned the E-Myth. I think that's a Bible for many of us entrepreneurs out there.
It's
right?
an eye-opener. Yeah, as the Bible is. Yeah,
it is.
Did that wrong? Did that right? Yeah. So
that's awesome. Well, I'm curious, what else did you glean from the E-Myth?
It's interesting, because as I just starting my business, the E-Myth was overwhelming. It talked a lot to me, but it's like, yeah, I would love to have all these systems, but I need customers first. So I'm everything in the E-Myth, And but now, 15 years into owning my agency, a systematized, that's exactly the route I'm going. I actually had the luxury of having phenomenal people running my agency for the last 5 years. Well, I've always been very encouraging to my staff to pursue what they want to pursue, to find what they want to do. If that means work here with me, or if that means something else. I literally have trained 4 other agents, 4 competitors now that I have, and we're still good friends.
Yeah.
And you know what? While they worked for me, they were phenomenal. Well, literally like 2 months ago, a guy that I've had, he's been with me. Well, he has about 8 years experience, and he had the bug to own his own business. I'm a huge advocate of that. And so of course I helped him with that and encouraged him. And the crappy part about that is he's no longer with me. So I'm now back to creating the system of, you know, that I've learned to implement. You know, I'm instead of having like 2 people, I'm now saying, okay, you're going to be this person in my organization, you're going to be this person, and then that way it's easier to duplicate. Whereas having this rock star, literally this rock star for all these years who could do everything, much harder to duplicate that. Whereas if I just piece this one here and piece that one there, I can replace that a whole lot easier in my system as I continue to encourage my employees to really pursue what they want to pursue. So I'm trying to make it easier on me as it's just inevitable. You have good staff, but they have dreams too. And I don't want to squash them. And so I encourage it. And when they leave, I want to be able to replace that a little easier than this guy who was, like I said, 8 years of experience. Just awesome. I love him to death. But man.
Well, and that kind of goes into your newest adventure out there with Allies, right?
Yep, that's
where
right.
You're actually, and one of the things Don and I were speaking about prior to this interview is, you know, so many times when you get out there and you've been extremely successful. So as you do hit that success, it becomes kind of lonely and it becomes like you're a lone wolf, right? So you don't
Sure.
have the people. So what do you do to overcome that solitude that happens, you know, where you're out on your own? How do you overcome that? Where do you find your networks? What do you do to make that happen?
Well, honestly, other business owners have always been my therapists. And it's so encouraging to talk to another business owner. And it should not be encouraging. It's almost like when I see Tiger Woods slice a bad shot off in the woods, you know, like, yes!
Right.
They do it too, you know? And so when I talk to other business owners who are talking about their challenges with me, I'm like, hey, I have those same challenges. And like I said, I say encouraging loosely because I'm not happy that they have challenges, but it's comforting to know that I'm not alone. And I love talking to other business owners about those challenges. What have they done? What have I done? There's a lot of times that I've already overcome that. So I can say, hey, this is what I did in that situation. It might work for you, and then return to it for me. And Allies is the perfect platform for that. It is a system built around that to say, let's get like-minded executives, people who are at the same level, so to speak, of decision-making, not we're better than this or better than that. It's we're the same level at decision-making, and we relate so well. So Allies has been my therapy more than anything. And of course, the best thing about that, other than the sanity that I get out of it, is the networking, connecting, and all the business relationships that you establish from that. And you know, as for continued venturing else, so wonderful.
Yeah. You know, I think that's interesting because I know a lot of our listeners out here are running a business on their own, and they're doing it pretty successful. But I know whether it's in a big corporate setting, and I've been there, or it's a franchisee that's got 15 locations, it gets lonely at the top.
Sure. And
you get stagnant if you don't find a way to learn. So tell me a little bit about, again, with Allies, but how could that help a multi-unit franchisee that feels like they're stuck, they're alone?
Well, what's very interesting as well, in insurance, I would consider it an extremely competitive industry. And being in a rural-ish town, I'm not small, but we're not big either. It's funny to talk to people who don't have competition because they're so secretive about who they are and what they're doing to have their successes. Whereas I'm an open book because it's talking to other competitors. I can't tell you how much I learn and working with my existing competitors and how much they learn from me as well, because there really is, in a competitive industry, you just got to be good and what you can do best. And so what I'm realizing through Allies, and essentially to answer your question, what I do with that group is we get together with, it doesn't necessarily matter the industry. And I've realized through my competition and being so competitive with other people that it's okay to be an open book. Too many executives think that I don't want to share this secret. They don't realize that everybody knows your secret, and they don't want to let others know that they have weaknesses. They don't want to become vulnerable, so to speak, because they're afraid might look less, think less of them, that they, or that they don't know what they're doing. But what they don't realize is when we as business owners open up about that, it just allows others to then open right back up and say, I know exactly what you're talking about. Hey, here's a solution. And so it's almost like showing my weaknesses makes me stronger. And that's what, that's what I love about Allies and being part of their group, and especially getting to these power groups that we talk about, whether it's a competitor or whether it's somebody's power team or somebody that literally could be in the pooper scooper business. I know that sounds crazy, but business is business. Hiring is hiring, firing is firing, marketing is marketing. We're all going through the same struggles, and we're all here to help each other. And I love how Allies gives me the platform to open up, be vulnerable, which allows them to come in and really make me stronger through their experience.
So, and that's, what I hear and what my experience is, that it isn't about competitive secrets. It's about management and leadership skills and experiences, and hearing from somebody who's gone through something that you're just starting to go through.
Sure.
Or somebody who you can be the mentor, the other way around. If I take that back to your insurance business, you probably made some mistakes. What mistake would you make again?
Great question.
What mistake would I make again, or would I not make again?
No, would you make again? No, we all learn a lot that we would never make again. But sometimes you look back on it and it felt like a mistake, but maybe it was one of the best turns in the road as a manager or a leader growing a business.
Sure. No, absolutely. So one of my mistakes was I got too big with the systems that I put in place, right?
Right.
And I felt like I was a little bit top heavy with employees.
Mm-hmm.
And as a small business owner, I was too gutless to let any of them go. Financially, that was a big mistake. Now, looking back, really all I had to do is refocus how I utilize those employees, because what I did is I utilized too many of them, say, on the service side. And that's where, like, the E-Myth, I keep going E-Myth because my book's right there on the bookshelf. You can't see. But I keep going back to that, where all I had to do, and I've learned this actually a lot from G. Levitt, of all people, to be specific about marketing and sales is where you need to be. And I was so focused on just taking care of my existing people, I forgot that I need that little piece of that component. So all I would have done different is not get enough guts to fire somebody, but I would have just said, your new focus is this. Let's pay for yourself through this. And my business would have thrived just by repositioning people. And that's something that I've learned the hard way, that ironically, I'm building back up to that level of staff, but in the correct way.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was a mistake worth making.
It was a mistake worth making, because even then I realized, that was dumb. And now I'm like, no, I was just doing it the right way, or the wrong way with the right people.
Right.
And so, what else I thought of when you were talking about the franchises is, I love calling other franchise owners. If I need something if I want to learn something, or if I need to know something, even though I have this wonderful partner as a business, to go to, the first people I go to technically are other agents, other franchise owners,
Sure.
because it's likely that they've been through that. Even though we're competitors, they a lot of times have the answers for me. So I didn't mean to cut you off there, Jessica. I apologize. But.
Oh, you didn't at all. You're good. You're
No,
good.
that's right. I mean, to me, that's one of the things that you need to learn in a franchise system, that the franchisor has a role and some strengths and some things they bring, but there's other things that they don't have. And some of your partners or competitors will they've gone through those experiences.
Exactly.
They're not the corporate type. They're the guy that owns or gal that owns the business, and they roll up their sleeves every day. So.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, Don, you have such a vast experience in the franchise world. He's in a great situation where he's with a Fortune 300 company.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people for him to reach out to, but a lot of these franchise owners, a lot of our listeners have a lot fewer people in their organization. Are there other areas that you suggest to them that you think are good?
Sure. I mean, I spent 10 years in Young Presidents Organization.
Okay.
And that was excellent because it was a lot of people at the same stage of business as I was, all about the same age. You've got to be in there before 40. By the time you're 49, they fish out. And I think there's a bunch of organizations, Mastermind and things like that. I'll bet you know a few,
I do.
right?
I actually belong to a few myself.
Yeah.
I'm kind of an addict myself.
And I would say, I mean, I hear your point about, I was successful in the insurance business because I came right in, not as a franchisee, but as a business owner. And for the people to realize I'm not just a franchisee, I'm running a business. And I've got to be able to lead the business, and my skills have to continually improve or the business won't be successful.
Correct.
So how can I look around? How can I reach out to others and actually develop myself? And I think that's important for a young or a growing franchise organization.
I think so too. I think that as we're taking that responsibility, it's not a responsibility just to grow the business, it's a responsibility to grow ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise we're done for. So I do belong to the Mastermind, and I belong to another organization as well with entrepreneurs. Most of us own several businesses, and I think that's your biggest outlet. I know Allies provides so much of that here in the Southern Utah market, that we're able to do that. And it's great that that's been modeled for us and we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I would like to change this a little bit, because one of the things that I think most of our listeners out there, if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, which almost every franchisee does, right? You're always looking at other ideas. I mean, we're always entertaining them, correct? So you have so much experience starting up businesses. What is your biggest piece of advice or the best direction you can go in identifying what is a good idea versus a bad idea? And is it just trial and error, or is there actually a systemized way to navigate through that?
Jessica, all my ideas are incredible.
Of course they are.
Just
always know that.
Seriously.
But for the rest of us.
But for the rest of us who don't have incredible ideas.
A quick and funny story. Well, a quick and funny story. About 8 or 9 years ago, started up a group called, we call ourselves the Thinkubator. And essentially it's all of those people back then who had the little sticky notes in their wallet with all their cool ideas.
Yes.
And they'd pull theirs out. I'm like, you too? Yeah. And there's some people that don't, and we've been meeting once a month for 8 years and just sharing ideas and just helping each other out, connecting, whatever we need, right? We do some events, but the thing I wanted to share about that, it's really funny, is some people haven't come to that group because they're afraid of sharing their ideas, because somebody's going to steal it.
Right.
Two things. Number one, all of us that are in that group, once again, have more ideas than we even know what to do with. So the last thing I'm going to do is go try to steal your dumb idea, because mine are way better. Right? That's what we think, right? Second, you've got a group of like 20 people that meet every month hearing your crazy ideas. And so you've got enough witnesses to say, hey, that was Andy's idea. But my favorite is when one of my crazy ideas shows up on Shark Tank and gets funded. And that has happened more than once. And so I'm just like, yes,
I knew that
I told you it was a good idea. I should have just done it. Dang it.
I love it.
So a couple of things and challenges I have, because I'm always looking to solve problems and think of ideas. It doesn't matter where I am. That's just how my head works. The challenge with that kind of mentality is jumping around from idea to idea. And I done that. And so my hardest thing right now is I'm focusing only on what I need to focus on. And so what I do is, and what's helping me with that is when I come up with a good idea, so I think, I write it down. It's in my phone now. I don't put it on a little white, sticky pad anymore. I put it on my phone. I put it in my notes section. I have a whole note section of ideas and things that I think will solve the problems. And as different ideas come, I just keep that and I stow that away for later dates. And I truly have told my oldest son, he'll be 18 this year. I said, bud, if I die, you will go to this note section. And with all of my life insurance money, you will implement these businesses because these are good ideas.
They're great ideas.
And so anyway, what I do is I write them down, and that helps me kind of keep them off to the side because I have my insurance agency. I love being a part of corporate allies. I call allies my fun business. It's just so fun. It's what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Hanging out with cool people, doing cool things in cool places. But then I'm in the process of starting up an e-commerce business right now. I'm fascinated by e-commerce. And so all these other ideas that I have to set to the side while I focus on that. And that's the biggest advice I can give is as you come up with these brilliant ideas, find the one that's going to work right then, pursue that, try your hardest to laser focus and put these other ones on the back burner because doing them all at once doesn't work. I've tried it. I remember when my wife thankfully said, you can only do 2 businesses at once. And I'm just like, okay, I'm down to 3. Does that work? And she's like, yes. And so that's a wonderful woman who understands how
brilliant.
A serial entrepreneur works, where she's not limited me to one.
Yeah.
Because I'm an idiot. Why am I not content with owning an insurance agency, right? I don't want to be. I realized in that
let me
pattern that I love building. I love creating. Go ahead, Don. Sorry.
No, I think that's right. And kind of let me bring that back in a loop to our multi-unit franchisee in the audience, that the point you're making is, I think, a good one. I mentor some folks that are on, and I keep saying my job is to stop you from being a jackrabbit, hopping from idea to idea.
Oh, that's great.
But I think that's true with somebody that's got a business that's growing. That focus is really one of the important things for them. And a lot of other ideas, a lot of ways to do things in the business. But at the end of the day, if you can't pick out the few that are really key to your success and focus on that, then you are going to suffer and the organization is going to suffer. Absolutely. And I think for a growing business of any kind, that's an important lesson.
I think that's important.
I attest to that.
And I think it's important for all of our listeners to hear that, because I think all of us, so I want to share this with you. Here's mine. I carry it everywhere with me. It was actually within reach. And it has Post-it notes inside of it.
You're one of us.
So my list has Post-it. Yeah, so it's crazy, but I do. I think that's a testament, though, that almost all of our listeners are going to be in that same situation. We've all got little lists that we carry around, put in our phone, however we do it. And if we're not able to identify it, just like Don said, we're going to sink ourselves. I do like your idea of the longevity by giving it to your kid. Here is your inheritance right here. It's going to make you a lot of money. Well, we are just about running out of time here, so I want to wrap this up. I want to thank you so much. I think that what you've experienced is great for all of us to hear, just sharing that. It also kind of goes back to one of the companies that you're working with, and how you're helping other people by modeling that and showing them how to go through and sift through and find out what the good ideas are. Don, as always, your expertise is just invaluable. Really appreciate it. For our listeners out there, if you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and like us. And in addition to that, go ahead and listen to some of our other podcasts, because we have some really good ones out there that'll give you some ideas on systemizing and really utilizing the things that you learn in the E-Myth. So we look forward to having you back. And once again, thanks for being here on the Franchisee Show.
Andy, it's been great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Don and Jessica. You guys are amazing. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye, Andy.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. For more episodes, go to thefranchiseshow.com.